We're going to take a little break from the calls because Rippy didn't do any, which means I've got to do them all, and I get bug-eyed after a while. It just, I'm not sure how he's doing them, but it ends up making me like in a trance or something. You know, you look at this menu here, and you're clicking through each one to see a good one. You know, it's like fishing, and eventually I get bug-eyed. Uh, that's why I'm so happy when he does some of this because I can go through them and I don't have to stress out or lose my eyesight. Because you know I'm old and infirm, older before my time. Probably had suffering with COVID for years now. Look at Eli. He's got quite the little live stream going. Can we look at this on a different? Yeah, look at this on a different. Every day he's out on town now. He's got a little, got quite a little fan club now. Don't you, Eli?
Anyway, let's go. You know, this is
he's always
right next.
He's always been very entertaining, man.
Here we go. Fantastic. Hey kids, like I said, prepare your children if you're going to bring them to this city.
I wish I had time for him. I just don't have time, Eli. I've got to maintain my TriMet obsession, and your stuff is very long.
To him drug abuse and all the rest of this stuff.
But I highly recommend this if you want to see Portland. Son of Hightower right there on YouTube. But I'm interested in this silliness for some unknown reason. So let's go back to this nonsense. No, I forgot where we were.
And may be approved in one blanket motion. And this morning, our consent agenda includes the minutes from our October 27th, 2021 meeting and resolution authorizing ordinances to be read in title only. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
They're never coming back, by the way. They're never coming back. This guy's never coming back to the office, and they're never going back to public meetings. The New World Order, folks, has been established, and I don't want to live in this world, and I'm rooting for the COVID to get me and get me out of here, because I really don't like this life anymore. It's like they've ruined everything. These monsters that are running the world have ruined the world. And although I'm not personally suffering as a result of it, I am listening daily to the people who are suffering from it. The ones that are dead in the street, dying in the street, the mentally ill and the disposed. Carefully hidden from view from the public, by the way. You won't see any of this anywhere.
So moved, Thomas Kim.
Thank you.
Second, Keith Edwards.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments before we vote? Hearing none, and then we'll take the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Are there any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions?
No.
The motion carries. So now we're going to move into our resolutions. Thank you, everyone, for moving us along. Our first resolution is a resolution 21-12-49.
Wait a minute. Let's see what it is. Let's look it up. TriMet.org. They're teeny tiny printing. You can barely see it, but there it is. About us. You look for the public meetings. And then you go to the board of directors. And where's the past meetings? See past meetings. Okay. And here it is. And this is it right here. We'll just click on that. Resolution 21-1249. The Tri-County Metropolitantransportation of Oregon, TriMet, authorizing a contract modification with Take. Yeah, so great. So those of you who pay attention, or those of you who are actually using the system working there, know that the fucking radios are garbage. And these people, these Tate people, they're the ones that create the garbage. So, in the best interest of pork barrel cronyism, TriMet is about to give them an extra $2,233,000. And a boy, TriMet, and they're fucking, it's junk. So let's hear. For failure, you get extra money. That's what I love about this shit, is that when things fail, that means more money for the people involved. So I've always theorized that they want everything to fail because that means they can bilk the taxpayers for more money. Let's listen.
And it's authorizing a contract modification with Tate Communications for radio infrastructure, equipment, and services. Mr. General Manager, your comments.
Mr. General, can't you just say Sam? Do you have to do this silly titles thing? Can't you just forget it, man? We know who he is. You don't have to tell us over and over. Just cut it out already, okay? You're just human beings. No such thing as a general manager. The only thing there is somebody named Sam Dessou with a title that's been made up by somebody. I mean, he's been put in the position of authority for some reason. Nobody knows why. No public had any say in it. But there he is.
Thanks, President Simmons, members of the board. This is our first resolution before you this morning. And this resolution would authorize a contract modification with Tate Communications for TriMet's mobile radio system.
Your junk ass crap.
This system is mission critical and a high priority.
Yeah, mission critical. It's junk, and you don't have enough drivers. That's higher priority, is you need to get drivers. But you're not going to do that. You're going to offer a tiddly little bonus. It's not even a 2 days pay for you, buddy. That's the bonus for the goddamn operator.
The lifeline connection from the operator to the communication center.
It's crap.
It's that connection for operators, for supervisors, for our fleet and facility maintenance, and then all frontline personnel that's out into the system. The system is made up of more than 2,600 mobile radio units on our buses, our trains, our paratransit vehicles, as well as assigned to our supervisors, transit police, security, customer service, and other personnel across the system. Tate Communications equipment and services currently support the radio system.
Now, in a sane world, they'd be fired, okay? But we don't live in a sane world. We live in an insane world where failure means more money.
And provides sufficient capacity for all TriMet operations.
Why is there two of her?
TriMet's IT staff has requested an upgrade to the core control of the radio system, for which Tate has been providing service on an as-needed basis. As the core control upgrade is included in the IT division's FY22 budget, this resolution requests a modification to increase our existing contract with Tate from the current $350,000 to about $2.6 million.
So their current contract is $300,000. They're going to increase that to $2.6 million. So they're like a factor of 8. They're increasing it by a factor of 8. So with all the failure that they've had with the system, they're getting 8 times the amount they originally got. It was perfect, just perfect. That's how it works. The more failure, the more money. That's just how it works.
Which covers the cost of the system's core control improvement.
Whatever the hell that is.
Tate also currently holds a sole source contract.
They're sole source on top of it also. There's like, they've got, that's like the West. West has got a contract for 50 years because the criminals knew that it was going to be a failure, so they made sure to lock it in so that nobody could get rid of it. Of course, they could get rid of it, but it's a crony thing, so they won't get rid of it. That should be eliminated immediately. So this is sole source contract, which means Tate gets all the money and nobody can replace them.
To the proprietary nature of the technology
Proprietary.
involved with the radio system.
Yeah, great. So you hired somebody who had the only technology that only they could work on. Brilliant move by the TriMet executives. And it's not even good. It's shit. Just brilliant.
The company employs 60 people, 26 of whom identified as female or minority. TriMet considers these upgrades critical, again, to our operations. And I
need 2.3 million. We got it right over here, folks. 2.3 million right over here. It's right in this bucket over here. Here, no problem coming up with that. Here, right here. But getting that operator bonus, well, we had to have a whole executive staff. We all agreed. Our leadership team said, we'll come up with this money for our beloved operators, but 2.3 million for a failed radio provider, no problem. Take it right away.
For your approval, I have here with me Chief Information Officer Ethan Benetton, and also AJ O'Connor, our Director of Intelligent Transportation Systems.
The Director of Intelligent Transportation System. What a bunch of shit!
So if there are any questions or any follow-up, Ethan or AJ, that need to be brought forward, please.
What would they ask? They don't know anything about this. The question would be, why are they so bad? Why are your systems so bad and unreliable? But these board members, they don't have any idea what's going on. You think they're going to sit here all day and listen to calls like I'm doing? Of course not. Of course nobody has a question.
Well, thank you, Sam. I have nothing to add to that excellent summary. So
nothing to add.
We're happy to take any questions from the board.
Yeah, come on, board.
Okay, Director Edwards, you have a question?
Okay, should be good.
Thank you for that report and that enhancement. The only question that I have is a further breakdown of the demographics of the employees that work.
Oh, for Christ's sakes, that's what he's going to ask? Is how many goddamn minority? I mean, these contracts were supposed to be race and gender blind. I mean, it was supposed to go to the best bid, but as you can see, the whole world has gone upside down. Where now that is not now they've turned it around where you can't get a contract unless you got enough minorities. Although I've seen them hand out contracts to companies that have no minorities. So this is some kind of weird ass equity nonsense.
Their take. I would just like to see a further breakdown of gender and race of those employees. That's the only question I have.
And thank you,
Why?
Dr. Edwards.
Why do you care about that?
The information that I have in front of me here, and if procurement's on the line, or either Greg Skillman, I've been told that the company employs 60 people and 26 of them are female and or minority. So any further information, Greg or Les, that you could provide, that would be great.
Well, anybody out there? Hello.
Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Director Edwards. Let me dig through our files, and we asked for a workforce utilization form to be filled out, so I can dig that up and send it to you, if that's okay.
Oh, you don't have the answer?
That would be fine.
Great,
Thank you very much.
Sure thing.
And we'll never hear this again. As you know, whenever they say they'll get back to you, you never hear it brought back to the board again. It's gone forever. They don't. There's actually no follow-up when somebody asks a questions and then their staff says, we'll get back to you. We never hear again from it.
Director Gonzalez?
Thank you, President Simmons. Yeah, I wanted to follow up on that question Director Edwards brought, and I have another quick question. I want to reinforce the importance of the section on diversity when we're trying to find out, especially from a sole source vendor. But I think in any instance, when we want to know about the composition of the company, it would be great to have information about the demographics of the company, and as well as how those demographics are distributed across the organization, top to bottom, from leadership down. So it'd be interesting to see.
Why do you give a shit about that? Okay, your concern should be the operation of TriMet, not the composition of the contractors. Are the contractors competent or not? In this case, Tate is not. Okay. But they're not going to ask anything about the functioning of of their radios, which is subpar. They're interested in the composition of the company, which is just typical of the board. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know anything about the transit system that they're supposedly in charge of.
How we ask our vendors in the procurement process for this information, it might be a good opportunity for us to revisit what that looks like, what that form looks like, what it asks for, how it asks, because this is really important, valuable information, again, from our sole source partners in particular. It helps us lead to I think, bigger conversations about how we are helping, create the workforce of the future. Anyway, so that's my point. The question is simply about the scope and scale of the contract amendment, going from 350K.
All right, okay, good for you, Ozzy. You noticed that. Thank you. You're paying attention, Ozzy. Good. I love it. I love it when the board members actually ask a question that means something. It's so rare. This is good. Now, this is an excellent question.
To 2.5K total is a substantial difference. And could you just speak a little to how you arrived at the scale of this? Is it going to be continuing to be provided on an as-needed basis? How far out do you expect this scale or this magnitude of contract to be able to take us out to?
That's right. Excellent.
I can answer that.
Who?
So this request addresses the core software. So when we contracted with Tate over 10 years ago now, this radio system is built on the P25 standard, which is the standard that was post 9/11, so that radio systems were compatible. And all radio vendors, Motorola, Tate, Kenwood, Harris, were building systems that were P25 compatible. And not all the components of that radio system standard each vendor had. So some of it was Tate supplied and some wasn't. And the core software, when we purchased it, was manufactured by Airbus, the large airplane vendor that everyone is familiar with. And about 7 years ago, Motorola decided to buy that component of Airbus. So they bought that component of Airbus. And in an audit of the IT department, it was highlighted that this was a risk because now Motorola owned a key component of one of their competitors' software. So Tate obviously didn't like that either and developed their own software to complete the P25 configuration. So it was end-to-end Tate software then. And Motorola, as was expected, once they bought this Airbus component, they no longer supported it. So they were essentially getting people to try and switch to Motorola, which would have been a $30 million enterprise if that had happened. So what we're doing and why this is so much money is we're replacing that core software with a complete Tate solution. And it's not only just maintaining the existing system, this new core software is compatible with the second phase of the P25 standard. And I know that's probably means nothing, but what it really has an impact for TriMet, because when we move to the P25 standard, that essentially doubles our capacity for the radio system. So we overnight have the core software set up so that TriMet won't have to go ask the federal government for more radio channels for another 60 years. Once we do this, we'll have to.
Well, this is very interesting because we're scanner people. So I'll forward this information over to Jason. So I don't know if that's going to mean a change to our scanner protocol.
We change out the actual mobile and portable radios over time to be able to take advantage of that, but the core system will have the capacity for decades.
Well, did you see what he said, though? He said that Tate has made some kind of decision to change from what they were doing to this because they didn't want somebody else to have the technology. Very questionable, highly questionable.
In decades to come. And we will have support for that software for decades to come. And we'll be removing that now Motorola piece of software that they're sunsetting and retiring.
Huh. I'm sure Ozzy does.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Oh, come on. How about some more discussion here, Simmons? That was interesting, and he didn't really answer the question that anybody's going to be able to understand. I'll have Jason look at this segment.
I had one more
question,
President Simmons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see how she didn't want to talk about this. Okay, she's pulling the old Warner. This was the Warner method. Cut off any conversation that creates doubt in the mind of people. That's what Warner used to do. And that's what she's doing right here. She's cutting off the conversation because that answer that went was not looking good. I mean, look at Ozzy. Look at that face. I should screenshot that.
I wanted to ask about the retention of employees at Tate. Given we've had a 10-year contract, and this is so important to TriMet that, especially, I mean, it's major. Number one on the priority list, I would think, or certainly close to it. And given that, I would like to know, I guess, the retention of employees at Tate.
I think it's a very good question because this is a sole source contract. This is a monopoly. Tate has a monopoly on the TriMet radio system, which is very bad. Right there, it's bad that they're the only ones that can service this. I don't like this at all. And so this question that he's asking here is related to that.
And the levels of that retention. In other words, the hierarchy. If they don't have a good retention record, if it's is it at the lower level or is it at the upper level or is it median? I think that's important information to know because that speaks to the stability of the contractor that we're using.
It's a good question. We can ask them directly for the actual figures and hard numbers, but I can tell you from our experience, we've been working with the same engineering staff and account reps for over a decade. And Tate is a unique company in that they're a public, I can't remember the New Zealand term, but they're not a stock traded company. They're a trust. They're set up as a trust, so they cannot be broken apart like other companies. So they're a very, very kind of unique company. They are the number one employer in New Zealand.
They're in New Zealand. So TriMet has a sole source contract with a company in New Zealand? Are you fucking kidding me?
So they're not small. They're not Motorola huge, but they have been very, very stable.
I'd like to
Thank you very much.
I'd like to remind the board in terms of meeting process. For those of you who wish, you review the materials. If you have questions, if you either call me or the general manager ahead of the meeting.
Oh, you see, they don't want see? They don't want a public discussion. Of course not. Simmons was trained by Warner. Keep it behind the scenes. Don't let anybody listen. And the only one that actually listens to this is me, but it will be posted forever on the internet.
Get the information that you have questions about.
No, Linda. No. A public meeting is where the questions should come, all right? Stop the secrecy shit. You fucking people over there and your secrecy.
we can advance the meetings
No.
more quickly.
No.
So having said that,
See?
is there a motion to approve?
See, she won't. See, here she goes again. She won't allow any more questions. So she's bad. I give her thumbs down immediately for what she's doing here. She's cutting off discussion, and she's doing it on purpose. And she's telling people to do this off the record. So, Linda Simmons, you fail. You are not transparent. You shouldn't be in that position.
This resolution.
And she was bad. I mean, I remember when, before she became the head of the board, she was bad. She just didn't, she was not good as terms of a board member. Like when Kathy Way wanted to delay the police contract, Linda Simmons was like, no, we can't. We got to get this today. There's no, bad, just bad. This is your TriMet people at work here, keeping everything quiet, pushing through pork barrel contracts with companies that aren't even in America. This is bad. It's a disgrace, folks.
So moved. Keith Edwards.
Thank you, Director Edwards. Is
I don't
there a
like it,
second?
ma'am.
Second, Thomas Kemp.
Second, Thomas Kim.
Somebody should object to her saying that, but they won't because, the board has to not ever have a dissenting voice.
Thank you.
Somebody vote
All
no.
in favor, please say aye.
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 Why don't you call a roll?
Has anyone opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on.
I don't like it. I don't like you, Simmons. I don't like the way you cut that off. I think it's disgraceful that you did that. That's enough for this segment.